you've always been shown the victim road, then when people identify you as a victim, they come and they give and they help you. And some people are still programmed to receive and to consume, but never plant. And I'm going to make it plain. The things that you're asking God for, have you ever thought that you have to plant those things? If you don't take the seeds from the top of the earth and show the process of putting them in the earth, then how can the earth produce what you never put in it? How can you produce your dreams if you never work your dreams through the process? Because when God created the earth, he demanded the earth that whatever is put in it, that it should produce. I think in some ideology, when people look at the dinosaurs and look at oil and look at fracturing and all those kind of things, it's the things that died and the leaves that fall that refertilizes the earth. Now, if you look at it from another text, the things that hurt you and the things that you have failed in should become fertilizer for your growth and not to control you. Because and we're going to move into this rather quickly, because there was a question asked about discouragement and disappointment. And I taught this some time ago, but we're back there, and I'm going to help us again. But I also don't want you to forget to ask me about the sandbox. And the sandbox is invitation only. Okay? The sandbox is invitation only. So when you don't plant something into yourself and into your dreams and into your career, then you in reality can expect to have something. And so we are taking the same mindset as when we were victims, and we are crying as we were when we were in captivity. When you have the same opportunity to plant, but instead of planting, you just want to receive. Look at the text. When they received the fruit and the harvest from the promised land, they ate it and never planted anything. So what it says to God is, even if I cross you over, until you change your mindset, nothing will change. New place, old mindset. New place, old behavior. New relationship, same old person. You can hide it for a minute, but then it shows up. Ask me why. You never dug it up. There's some things you have to dig up before you can plant. And the problem is we're trying to plant, and we haven't finished, and this is an old school word, curing and cleaning the field. There are some things you need to get out of you before God can deposit them in you, because what's in you is toxicating to where you're supposed to be. And God cannot allow that toxification, that spirit. I said it earlier. I said it, I think I was in Greenwood. When anybody walked through the doors, no matter who we are, if you serve, if you in recovery, we all in recovery. I'm in recovery. We should have love. We have to bridle the tongue. We have to bridle the flesh, because you don't know what that person has been through, and you don't know what that person is going through. No matter how long he or she has been out, they are still a child of God. Okay, messed up, jacked up, flipped up, all of that. They're still, and we, if we kill what's coming because of how we see it. So every person deserves that compassion. Every person deserves that love, because we don't know their story. We don't know what he just came through. We don't know where he's coming from. We don't know. He could have just walked out of a bad situation, and just to put their feet in the presence of the house of God. The people in the house of God should show love and peace and harmony, even we don't understand what's going on. Because listen, if the church isn't going to be your support group, then who? The liquor house cookout, fish fry? Yeah, because when people come in, we are not so saved and so elevated that we have an ability to criticize and put somebody down. It don't matter if you ain't seen them in 5 years. It's still a soul. And if you're in leadership, we have to understand these are still God's people. You see, and so what we have to do and where we're headed is, let's read Deuteronomy 1:28, and I'm going to share with you some thoughts.
Deuteronomy 1:28. Whither shall we go up? Our brethren have discouraged our heart, saying, the people is greater and taller than we. The cities are great and walled up to heaven. And moreover, we have seen the sons of Anakim there.
I want to say welcome to Successful Living. And I've oftentimes said it's not a catchphrase, it's a lifestyle. But not only is it not a lifestyle, here's what I said last night, is the whole purpose and intent of the broadcast is not for celebrity status. It's not to be famous. It is to pass on the unadulterated word of God. Number one, it helps you and I learn how to close the circle. If you expect to roll into and move into the things, you can't do it on a flat tire. You can't do it with half here and half-hearted there. In some instances, we're going to have to sell out to God, which means we're going to have to trust God in the light as well as the darkness. Here's the other thing. A lot of people have asked, I've talked to some people and you know, they're like, they just see church. And church is wonderful and church is fine. But I share with them one of the caveats of the ministry, and any ministry should, and pay close attention to this. If you're still spitting and popping and jumping and jacking, at some point you got to evaluate, are you growing spiritually, or you just acting out what you've overcome? The Bible says that I wish, come on, somebody speak it. Be in good health and prosper as well as, and the Bible says that my people are destroyed. If you want to move your life forward and you want to close the circle, you're going to have to get around a ministry and leadership that know how to add value to life. So when you're facing life challenges, it's the value of what you've learned that you're no longer acting out of your emotions. You're no longer pretending. I talked about faking it last night. I don't know how fake people are going to make it to heaven, because if you don't know who you are, because you're going to fake it, then how do God know who you are? And if you faked it here, you can't fake it there. So it may not fit your caviar, and it may not be sweet to your palate, but I promise you, this is a ministry that will add value to your life. So when people are asking you, oh, I can't believe that y'all going to church, you tell them everybody going to the Liquor Cookout Fish House, wherever that is. Everybody going everywhere they want to go. Can you come by and give us 40 minutes for a broadcast? We got masks, we got gloves, we've got sanitizer, we clean before, we clean after, okay? And so just, you go everywhere, you stand in Walmart with 3,000 people to get them 2 tomatoes. You can't sit 30 minutes in the class. You stand at the gas station waiting a 2-piece of chicken, and you can't come. So So when people ask me, yeah, because I might be hungry by the time I'm finished. But you want to be around something that just don't deal with your emotions. And so this is why I share with you, whatever you write, you need to read. You need to read it because it's ammunition and it's preliminary for the battle. Because if you're going to move the dirt's going to push against you. And if you're not ready to push against the dirt, then the dirt will do what it has always done, cover you up. And so you're going to have to know that as you push through this, you got to know what trimester you in. If you in the beginning of school, then you got a whole lot of things you got to throw out the window just to be able to sit down and learn. If you once you learn how to sit down and learn, then you got to learn how to apply what you've learned. And then if you apply what you learn, now there comes a test. So why you don't think that there's coming a test in your spiritual growth with God? You ask God to overcome something, then God's going to bring you the very thing that you asked him to overcome to see if you can pass the test.
Thank you, God.
See, listen, it's a difference to brag on God, and then it's a difference to believe in God, and then it's a difference to use the faith that God has given you. See, you can brag on God. Oh, I know God, I know. But when trouble comes, because see, here's the point. Most people come to church because they have needs. They don't come to God because they want a relationship. So they only serve God. Their relationship with God is based on their situation. And as long as you are basing your relationship with God based on your situation, you will never know God. You just know situation. And God is a spirit. And so if he cannot talk to your spirit, he has no interest in your things. And they that what? Worship. So are you worshiping God in your lifestyle, or are you going to church to get things and then come back and brag and talk about your credit score and what you have and what you drive and where you live, but it has nothing to do with your God? There's a text in the Bible that says, thou foolish man, this night thy soul is required. Because he said, I'm going to tear down what I got and I'm going to build. So some people are trying to build without God, but they don't mind using the blessings of God. So when you come to the test, what shows that you're a believer is how you approach the test, how you work the test, and don't use the carnality of your mind to manipulate the test. Oh, I wish I could help somebody. Because see, some people try to manipulate God and make false promises to God. Now, here's the thing. God is an all-wise knowing God. So he know you're lying when you're telling him you're going to do it and you ain't going to do it. So what God does is let you have it. And then when he lets you have it, he pulls back grace, mercy. He pulls back favor. He pulls back all the spiritual things that can help you be where you are. And now where you are becomes pain. Because you didn't get it with God. And if God helped you get it, you're not planning to keep it with God because you want to do you. And so then God says, okay, if you're going to do you, then surely goodness can't follow you. Surely mercy can't follow you. Surely grace can't follow you because you're doing you. You are not a light to the lost. And you're not a testimony to the faithful. You're doing you. Because as soon as God bless you, you go back to doing you. Mm-hmm. So now in the text, it says, man, we just went all over the place, didn't we? I was supposed to say, let's have a conversation. It's only 7:09, so we can have a conversation. Let's have a conversation because what we want to talk about is caught up in distractions. And some people brought to me one of the things, if you repeat Deuteronomy, the first phase of that.
Deuteronomy 1:28.
Mm-hmm.
Whither shall we go up?
Now, see, first of all, God is not the author of what? Confusion. And what are they right now? Confusion. Okay, come on.
Our brethren have discouraged.
Stop right there. Our brethren have what?
Discouraged.
What?
Discouraged.
Our
brethren.
Our brethren have discouraged us. Come on.
Our hearts
What? Okay, stop it right there. Good. And this is, I said this last night. To every parent and to every person, to every mother, every father, every sister, every sister with a brother, every brother with a sister, you cannot stop disappointment. Many parents, many grandparents, many brothers, many sisters have failed trying to protect the weak one from disappointment. You need to be able to share with your sons and your daughters and your grandkids that losing is learning. And if you learn, you didn't lose. So to be disappointment is a part of life. And that disappointment will cause you to make a decision. If that decision is only being made out of your disappointment, then that decision can't help you grow. Ask me why. Because you made that decision out of your feelings and emotions. You didn't make that decision out of learning from failing. Deshaun, right? So your mother can't protect you from disappointment. She has to teach you is to be careful who you let in your sandbox. Because the people that are close to you are the people who can motivate your emotions and your feelings and your subconscious to count it as heartbroken, which leads to discouragement, which is another whole phase. See, disappointment, you don't have a choice in that. To allow it to disturb the vision that God has given you and to allow it to stop the dream that's in you, then it says they were too close to you. They were so close that they took the seat of God. Because now you listen to confusion more than you do God. Your prayer life has stopped because of confusion. Because our brothers have this. So now it is not a peripheral, it's not a hedge, Job. You too close. And so if you're that close, you can alter what I'm doing. Who have knocked you off your course today? If you had 5 things to do, who interrupted you accomplishing your goal? My God. Can I make a point? Many people are too busy trying to solve disappointments rather than protect themselves from discouragement. Because to protect yourself, and I feel it here, and I'm not trying to go there, to protect yourself is not let it get in your sandbox that can poison the sand that is in you. See, because if it gets in you, it gets in your heart. If it gets in your heart, it gets in your mind. If it gets in your mind, it gets in your spirit. If it gets in your spirit, it gets in your subconscious. Now you are infected because of discouragement and not disappointments. What words are you allowing to get past your prayer? What situations are so powerful that it can stop you from praying? Well, I'm going to church tonight. Boom, disappointment happened. Oh, I'm not going. You know, things happen. I'm thinking I'm not going to be able to make it tonight. But as soon as the devil starts choking, oh, I need a word. I need to be somewhere. You have allowed. See, disappointment hits the outer shield, in the outer court. Discouragement only can happen in the inner court. And you should have enough prayer around you and keep enough spiritual angels around you that things that happen don't. See, this is why you hear me say everything that happens don't deserve a response. Because now you're going to get involved in something that you hadn't prepared for.
Jesus.
And so what do you think the first thing that's going to come up when you deal with it? Is your flesh and your past and your emotion. And Lord, when it's a family member, now you done kicked up some extra dirt. And so instead of when Deshaun comes and says, well, Mom, I got cut. Instead of pointing at the coach and let me tell y'all something, and he gonna go somewhere. Baby, did you practice? So you ain't gonna ask those kind of questions. So maybe you need to take a year off so you can get better. Boy, we got quiet real quick. Because it isn't so much the process for the kid as it is a reflection of you. And if you're unstable, now you've allowed someone to kick a little dirt in your sandbox, and so now you're going to jump out the fence. Our brethren have discouraged us. They discouraged our heart. But the first question I would have asked, why didn't you go for yourself? Why do you want somebody to check on what God has given you as an inheritance? Why? Now, can I make it plain? Yeah. Why are you still looking for someone's approval?
My God.
Why are you looking for someone's acceptance? Why are you looking for someone to forgive you? Why are you looking for someone to say you're okay? You should be okay because in your spiritual relationship with God, the word of God should come to you and say all things are possible to them that believe. Remember, your sandbox should be invitation only. Because most people want to get in your sandbox because they're not happy with their own. And if they can get in your sandbox, now you become their puppet. And you start doing everything to please them. And you don't see the value of your own. So I'm going to ask you, who's in your sandbox? Is this making sense? Because they got caught up in distraction because you let too much get close to you that don't have nothing to do with you. You in conversations. And this is what I tell parents. Your kids will literally act out your life experiences. If they saw you fight, they gonna fight. If they saw you quit, they gonna quit. If they saw you drink, they gonna drink. Oh, I wish I could help somebody. The good things they don't get. Are you hearing what I'm saying? If they hear you cuss, they gonna cuss. What's in your sandbox? Who's in your sandbox? If they see you keep up somebody, then they go. If they see you put somebody's name on the lease who don't have a job, then they gonna put somebody's name on the lease that don't have a job. Then you're gonna wonder what's wrong with church, and God's wondering what's wrong with you. If you're gonna fight over a man, then they gonna fight over a man. If you're gonna fight over a woman, then they gonna fight over a woman because they gonna mimic what they have seen and have no clearance of what they can learn. Am I making sense? Caught up in distraction. So disappointment you have no control over. And see, because here is how the metaphor goes. The metaphor goes is, I want you to fix everything that's wrong. You can't. But let me tell you what makes you try, is you didn't set any goals for the day. And you think everybody's problem is your problem. Mama, if they 21, they 23, they 25, daddy, they got to start figuring out stuff on they. You ain't got enough fish in your boat to eat. How you going to fish in theirs? And we need to stop this caviar of, I'm going to give them a piece of my mind. Some of y'all minds all over the country. All over the place. I'm going to tell them who I is. If we took the same energy and put it to planting seeds, where do you think you'll be right now? If you would have took the energy to save $25 a week 5 years ago, where would you be financially as an entrepreneur? Now you can invest in your own business. But you spent your money trying to save other people who wasn't trying to save themselves. Now you're worried about people who not worried about you. This is why the New Testament says, save yourself. You worried about how their life is going, but have you set up your life? Am I making sense? Y'all not looking well. Okay, you say that. Gotta let it soak in, gotta let it soak in, gotta let it soak in, gotta let it soak in. Because disappointment you have no control over. And some of you were still hung up in disappointment from 83. Some of you are still hung up in disappointment from 95. You still hung up from disappointment from the frat party. You still hung up disappointment because they didn't choose you. God bless you. You ought to be thanking God. You ought to send them flowers because you ain't with that. You somewhere crying and worrying and staying up at night over somebody who's sleeping good and ain't even thinking about you. Well, they said they were going to call me. They just told you that. That's what the Spirit said. Just tell you stuff. Yeah, we're going to do business. Yeah, we're going to take. They ain't never going to call you. You got to realize you part of the 5 foolish or the 5 wise. Can we go a little further? Y'all not looking well. I said it before. It depends on what's in your heart, your spirit is set on. I got a little thick piece here because the reason I say your sandbox has to be imitation only is because some people you fooling with. I was trying to get my BlackBerry working. I got it tonight. Everybody that has a touch screen, raise your hand. Okay, see, we was touching the screen, but it's a rollerball. You can't do much with a rollerball when technology and things have moved on. Ask me what's the importance of that. How long are you going to continue to hold up your life waiting on people who don't plan to go where you plan to go? Sometimes you're still dealing with rollerball people. And so we got it on because I couldn't remember the code. So we got it on, but there ain't no information in it. See, some people you fooling with, they're at the top of the mountain, and you're just beginning your journey. You're just beginning your journey. The problem is you thought they were meant to go with you. When they don't have in them the capabilities of supporting you to get to the finish line. Am I making sense? See, because, listen to this, and let's go ahead and get a little thick here. It's one thing for your enemy to trap you, but it's another thing when you trap yourself. Now ask me, what does that mean? When you trap yourself with things that don't belong to you, you have just trapped your future. Here's the problem. When you get in your future, since you didn't plant any seeds, you're in a new day with no harvest. Oh, I feel like going to work now. See, you wasted your time trying to bring people to a place that wasn't assigned to go. So they've eaten up your time when you should have been planting. And so now God didn't kill you, so he let you get in the day, but you don't have no tools to know how to do anything in a new day. So you got an old BlackBerry that came up out of, look at the first BlackBerry. What BlackBerry was this I have? Look up, when was the 8330? When did it come out? The BlackBerry 8330. It still got my number in it. See, just because some people know your name, you think they're tied to you. See, you got to run. It's one thing for your enemy to trap you. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think it's the 8330.
What's the year?
2008.
What's this year?
2020.
How many years is that?
12.
Some things you're holding on to is dead.
Amen.
And you still trying to, what do they call it, resuscitate them? You clear. You don't even say clear. You still trying to make it. You trying to resuscitate 2008. Tell me, I'm going to call you as soon as I get this to work. And what's sad, 2008 is not even calling you. It won't even work on the new network you on. Don't have the bandwidth to understand. And you still talk, they said they're going to call me. Instead, I got one message. One message. You're still holding on to one message from 2000. Y'all laughing on that, but somebody's stuck. I said it's one thing for the enemy to trap you. Oh, I feel it in here now, but I'm trying to pause this thing. See, that's what happened to Joseph. He told his brothers about his dreams. He told his brothers about what God showed him. See, sometimes you're talking to the wrong people because the people you're talking to don't have the insight that you have. Are you hearing what I'm saying? You can tell people there's a revolution going on in me. There's a resurrection going on in me. But they don't understand. They just say you're crazy and you're brainwashed. And what's happening is a spirit of awakening is happening into you. So if you're going to write, you got to write that there's a spirit of awakening that is going to happen in you, that is going to speak to your intelligence and not talk to your subconscious. There's a spirit of God. When God says that it's time to germinate the seed, then God says, I need you to start acting like you are supposed to be what you are supposed to be. You can't go in the ground of apple seed and come up a turnip seed. I need you to start walking by the faith that I put in you. You are heir to the throne. You need to back up, straighten up, pull up, and get up. Back up, straighten up, pull up, and get up. Hey, God. Because you don't have nothing to do with the enemy throwing you in the pit. You have all to do with how you respond being thrown in the pit. So you can't stop somebody from doing something. But you've got power to control how you respond to what they've done. Everything that happens don't deserve a response from you. Some things that happen deserve you to pray on them so God can shut them down. Don't text them, pray on them. Tell God the enemy trying to get in my sandbox. What I walked away from is trying to call me back. But you just get out on the side of the sandbox just talking. Hey. That's how you got poisoned the last time. With hey. Is this making sense? See, because when you are trapped, when you've trapped yourself and you've trapped your future, then when the enemy gets you trapped, the enemy has no need for you when you are divided against yourself. You can't ask God for a better life and then fight the change of God to have a better life. You can't ask God to change your life and then have a problem when he starts emptying your life. Because before God can fill you, there's some things you got to remove from you. And if you want to speed up the process, get happy about the release. This is why I carry the BlackBerry. There's some things that just don't work now. It's too old to function on a new system. So it's great where it was. And so it needs to match up with another 2008. But I'm sorry, baby, I'm in 2025. So I'm really ahead of the storm. See, because if someone can't pull you ahead, then all they can do is pull you back. So whoever you invite to your sandbox, it should be invitation only. Am I making sense? See, when you're divided against yourself, that's less work the enemy has to do. Because now you are vulnerable. You are a volcano. You will fight yourself. You will teach your kids to fight. Everything with you is drama. And you will look for drama and hunt for drama and create drama. There's some people you are literally talking to, you need to stop talking to, because all they are full of is drama. He said, they said, you said, this ain't this ain't that, and you really need to shut that down because it's pulling you back. And if you get in your future this time, you're not going to have the opportunity to clean up like you had last time. Because you don't have the years to overcome. Or am I making sense? See, because here's what you got to realize. When your vision and your dreams and your purpose are divided from your reality. This is why we have to stop faking it. Because when you are divided against yourself, you're divided against the vision that God has given you. Can I go to work here for a minute? If God has given you the power to pray and you are supposed to be an intercessory, you cannot be an intercessory sitting on a block somewhere. You need to be in the church setting the tone. You need to be a prayer and you need to not just read people's spirit to be nosy. You need to pray that God keeps the devil hands off of them because that's a soul that belongs to God. And when you see somebody cutting up, you don't criticize them, but you got the power of, you got the wall spray. Y'all, I feel like going to church by myself because when you see a group of walls, you can fight them with the fly swatter, but you only get one or two. But when you get the spray, you can spray it and there's a distance between you and the walls. And so when you see somebody drowning, you maybe can't swim, but you can pray. And prayer can throw a lifeline and stop them from dying and making a bad decision. God don't need you to criticize them. God needs you to lift them up in prayer. Where are the people that pray? They get enough criticism from the village. They don't need criticism from us. Because when you are divided against yourself, this is what the Bible says, that I wish that you would be in good health and prosper. So you got to take your health as a part of your vision. You can have vision, but you don't do things that are healthy. Are you hearing what I'm saying? You can sit there and eat yourself to death. You can sit there and think yourself into a pandemic. You can sit there and think yourself into depression. You can sit there and keep revisiting failure until you think that you're a failure. And so when you divide yourself against your purpose, now your vision is at risk. Your dreams are at risk. Your purpose is at risk because it's divided from your reality. You got to pray and ask God to help you in your reality so you can stay out of fantasy. You won't be trapped in hallucination. But you can walk by faith and not by sight. I don't have to think it, I believe it. And all things are possible to them. But when you're divided against yourself, one must bring their reality in line with God. First of all, God. Before you ask for a blessing, before you ask anything of God, are you in relationship with God? Are you in tune? Are you in harmony? If the angel were to come and give a report to God today, can the angel tell God how many times you prayed? No, not prayed because there was a problem. Prayed because he's God. And worship him. Did you take a 5-minute break and just say, God, I just want you to know I love you. And I thank you for letting me have this job. This peace of mind. I thank you for this moment. Thank you for the Spirit. I'm excited to go to class this evening because yokes going to be broken in my life. And if yokes are broken in my life, yokes will be broken in my children's life. I am the guardian of the road because I can chop off some things that my grandchildren should not have to go through. Hey, Lord, have mercy. So I have to stand up. Because there's purpose in them. But if they see you divided from your vision, see you divided from your dreams, see you divided from your purpose, and you're not even dealing with your reality. But see, when you get in God and you start dealing with God in your reality and get in line with God, then it's first God. Lord, I want to line up with you. And to line up with you, God, I got to be a worshiper. So when things start going wrong, I'm going to worship you. Because nothing positive comes out of anything negative. So if I just take a moment and worship you, if I just take a moment and say, God, you're good. And it's okay to tell God, I don't understand everything, but God, I believe that you're going to help me through it all. It's okay to tell God, I don't know why, God, I don't know why, but I just know you're going to carry me and my family through this moment. Lord, I have to trust you because there's no options after you. So I need your word to comfort me. So it's God's word. And then ask God to help you stick with his processes. See, because when God starts to purge you, you quit. You shut your mouth. When God starts to change your attitude, you draw back. When God starts to remove people out of your life, you have a fit. When God don't let you have your way, you throw a temper tantrum. And the first thing your subconscious and the enemy tells you, God don't love you. He don't care nothing about you. So you quit. Now what someone spiritual would say to you, if you never quit, you never lose. But how many times have you set God on the sideline for your feelings and emotions? And so here's the whole thing. The Bible says, wait on the Lord. So that wait means that you should be preparing and you should be emptying out things. It's not a point of being lonely. It's a point of being prepared. You don't want to be prepared. You just want to go from one mistake to another mistake and not know how to handle this. You know, honey, child, honey, boom, boom. If I would have thought I would have did this different, I would have did that different. You want to blow up something else. And so sometimes God sets you out and says, no, sugar, I need you. I know how you feel. I'm not worried about your feelings. I'm worried about your preparation. I want to let you know when this king come in your life, can you be a queen? When this queen come in your life, can you be a king? When this building open up, will you be prepared? Will you clean and will you serve when it's hot? So then if you can serve when it's hot, I know you can work when it's cool. You're not hearing it. I'm not hearing it. If you're going to be on time, you're going to be on time. Ain't nobody going to be there. Well, then you ain't ready for nothing. But those that come expecting something, they think they all say, no, boo-boo, they getting ahead of you. Those that serve, those that show up early get the nuggets. They serve. Didn't nobody give me no position. I think I need a badge to be able to serve. And if I have a badge and if I have a title, the one that didn't have a title was the one that became king. Oh, God, I wish I could help somebody. The one that his daddy didn't even want to call their name. Lord, I feel the preaching here. The one that nobody even wanted to invite and say, hey, dinner time. That's the one God says, that's my man. The one that's out there sweeping the floor, God said, that's my man. That's my woman. The one that's cleaning the toilet. Lord, that's my woman. That's the one that when I give them the big church, they'll still take care of God. They took care of the little stuff. They watched the windows when nobody else would watch the windows. They swept the parking lot expecting somebody to walk in. They loved on everybody because God said love everybody. So which one are you? You living in defeat? Or you working for expectation? Because when you find God's processes, oh Lord, be careful who you let in your sandbox. It should be by invitation only. Because when you learn God's processes, they that wait on the Lord, I feel in the church here, shall renew. Because something drained them. But if I hold on, look at somebody and say, if I just hold on just a little while, I shall renew. The Bible says joy cometh in the morning. So if weeping endure for a night. So don't argue with your brother or your sister and say, I understand it's crying time. Hey, but go ahead and get the tears out, baby. Go ahead and get the tears out. Don't be too proud to cry. Go ahead and get the tears out. Let it flow, because when you finish, hey, you got to get ready for the bridegroom. Because joy is coming. Your work will not be in vain. If you put it in the earth got to give it back. And he said, I'll have them give it back to you fourfold. So if I put it in and work it and take care of it, when everybody else is sitting there eating, you ain't got no apple yet. Your blessing hadn't come through yet. No, you got the temporal blessing. Oh, I wish I could help somebody. You got the 40-day blessing. I'm getting the 5-year blessing. I'm getting a 10-year blessing. I'm getting the blessing that said no weapon formed against me. So no matter how much I expand my territory, God's got an army that can shield my future. God's got an army that can shield my blessing. God's got an army that can protect my patent. God's got an army that can make it go through. God's got an army that'll take the one that's sitting in the seat that's holding it up and move that one so somebody can say, it is done. It is well with my soul. That's the one I serve. All power is in his hand. He is the center of the moon. He's the elevator of the stars. He's the bright and morning. When I call my daddy in, you don't want me to call my daddy. You rather fool with the devil than to fool with my daddy. Because when my daddy come in, he take over. He's so bold, he'll make an earthquake happen. My daddy's so bad, he'll throw rocks from heaven. My daddy's so bad, he'll set fire from heaven. My daddy's so bad, he'll make it rain that the house you live in will become a boat. My daddy got all power. And then my daddy is the maker and creator of the earth. My daddy said in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And I came from the earth. That's why I don't look like the earth. But my daddy said all things are possible. When you know your daddy processes, you understand his promises. So if somebody say I'm waiting. But waiting is just another word for renewing. See, you ain't told God this time when I come up, I'm not having to go back to 3rd grade. This time when I come up, this time when I get a building, this time when I get a home, this time when I get another car, this time I'm not letting nothing keep me out of church. And in fact, I want the devil to know when I come in church, I want the devil to know, yeah, the devil stood up and talked to you. But if I want to talk to my daddy, I got to get down on my knees and shout, the Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. And so while I'm lying down, he restores. While I'm waiting, everything that was destroyed, he's building my psychology back. He's building my spirit back. He's building my money back. Oh, I wish I had a church. He's rebuilding my credit. That's why I can't get nothing right now. He's rebuilding my credit. I can't overpay no more because my daddy has been laying down. He's doing a spiritual operation. He's working on the inside. Why the devil think I'm messed up on the outside, but on the inside, there's a war going on. There's an eviction notice to poverty. I wish I had a church here. There's an eviction notice to confusion. There's an eviction notice to cancer. There's an eviction notice to arthritis. There's an eviction notice to low self-esteem. There's an eviction, you don't see it, honey, but it's working on the inside. Hey, Lord. So he makes me lie down in green pastures. So I know I'm safe. Because if my daddy, if he'll keep the pastures green, then he'll keep me green. Some of y'all got to get off of red. You've been sitting at the red light too long. Everything that happens, you in the red. You got to ask God for spiritual creativity. Spiritual creativity will give you spiritual elevation. So you can know how to use your gifts that can bring substance to where you are. Because when you understand God's processes, now his promises, you believe in. Because then when God starts rearranging you, and the first thing God will do, can I take about 5 minutes here, is he'll put you around the table in the presence of enemies? Because your enemies got to teach you something that you didn't learn before. And so your enemies will teach you the things that you didn't know that you needed to know. Have you ever tried to get something done and didn't know how to finish it? You need to talk to your enemy because your enemy is the one that has the key. So he'll let your enemy come and he'll prepare the table. Your enemy will start saying, if you'd have done this and you'd have done that. Anybody know what I'm talking about? If you'd have done this and done that. So you don't get there in your flesh and start getting mad at your enemy. You take it and make it a spiritual weapon. That, okay, now I know what to eliminate. Y'all, I feel it in here. And if I eliminate education, they can't talk about it no more. If I eliminate experience, they can't talk about it anymore. If I change my company, they can't talk about it anymore. If they say my credit score wasn't high enough, they can't talk about it no more. And before you know it, your daddy will start to elevate you. And your enemy will sit right there because your enemy was at his best and you were in your rest. Oh, I wish I had a church because that's why your daddy laid you down so you can renew your strength. So he put you in a green pasture. Then he prepares a table while you're lying down that your enemies got to come. Everybody that said you wasn't going to be nothing, God sends them an invitation, and here comes the invitation. So you wonder why that big-necked, stiff-necked, buck-eyed person is coming back around in your life. God's getting ready to elevate you, but he got to let your enemy know. This is what happens when somebody believes. So when somebody starts believing, God brings Snaggletooth Jeffrey back around. He'll bring Humpback Sally around because God want to let them know you saw their flesh, but you didn't see my power. Oh, you saw them as grasshoppers, but I saw them as leaders. You saw them as failure, but I saw him as a king. You saw her as nothing, but I saw her as Esther, who had the power to tell the king, I don't want nothing in your house, but I need my people to be set free. Somebody asked for the candlestick, but I need God to tell the devil, that's my granddaughter you got hired up. That's my grandson that you trying to curse. That's my neighbor you trying to hold back. Esther didn't want anything from the king, but I got a message for you. Leave my people alone. Some of y'all would have went in there and said, I want a ring. I want the biggest diamond you got. Esther said, my people are more important than my wants. So then when you learn God's processes, you learn his promises. So when you learn his promises, he said, I'll never leave you. Look at somebody saying, in the midst of the storm, God still has his hand on the steering wheel. In the midst of a certain time, God sees it all. And in some instances, God's just waiting on you to worship him.
My God.
Your revelation will come in your worship.
Yes.
But you won't worship because you're too busy asking
Jesus.
and not enough serving. Because you want something big when God says despise not humble, small beginnings. So if I need to clean the toilets, I'm going to clean the toilets. If I need to clean the chairs, I'm going to clean the chairs. Because see, here's how you have short vision. You think you're in trouble when trouble brought you to the door of opportunity. But God had to get your attention. And since you wouldn't worship with him, then he had to send trouble to get your attention. So then, when you know God's promises, you have an insurance policy. He said he'll never leave you. So if anything is happening, God already knows. The question is, are you ready for it? Because here's what your enemy will do, and I'm closing. Your enemy purposely keeps you divided. If they would have known their power in coming together. If they would have known their power of coming together. Instead, they died without the promise. Your enemy divides you with their words. Your enemy divides you by your likes and dislikes. But if you knew the power of coming together, your enemy would fear you. But your enemy has no fear of you when you fear yourself. This is why, and I'm going to close and give you this last bit. This is why your enemy makes sure that you're stuck. They do things to distract you from your vision. They do things to distract you from working your dream. So here's what they do. The enemy will have a major problem if you were to walk and work together. They would have a problem. Because every time you get together, they got a problem. God gave us and gave you numbers for a reason. The problem is, if they can keep you stuck, if the enemy can keep you stuck and keep you with the spirit of poverty and the spirit of survival, guess what will happen? Anybody know? You'll never sow. Because you're fighting for something that was already an inheritance to you. And you're going to have to refight to get it. In fact, you think it's coming through someone else's hands? You're going to have to work your own hands.
Yes.
Yes. That business that you thought about starting, you can say you're too old, but you've got young kids, you got grandkids, you got nieces and nephews. And they're going to need something. They're going to need a bridge. Where no one built the bridge for you. You are the bridge builder. You hearing what I'm saying? They get you focused on everything else. You focus on athletics. They focus on books. Books always succeed athleticism. Y'all not hearing me? They want you to cheer. But they don't want you to lead. Because you're not a danger until you can think.
My God.
You're not a danger until you can think. And so if you're always stuck in your emotions and you're stuck in your feelings and you're stuck on survival, here's what you would never do. You would never sow seeds. Ask me what you'll do. You'll spend them. And so to build yourself, you're going to have to sow yourself. And if you're so stuck in struggle, and you're so stuck in survival, and you're so stuck in poverty, the seeds that you sow may not come up to the third generation because it's that kind of seed. You can catch an average fish within 1 or 2 minutes that it's on the hook. But if you birthed a shark, It's going to take 16 plus hours to reel him in. First of all, you got to get him on the hook. And see, what society has done is made you think you need to be it, when you may just be the branch to it. And if you don't do your role, then the eagle will never flourish. How much more could you have done had you had a better foothold in life? Are you hearing what I'm saying? See, people right now, they're watching all over the world, but they don't understand without that stand and without that stand, you wouldn't get the visual. Maybe you the stand. You got to know your place on the tree. So then what happens is you will never sow seeds. And now is the time, in the middle of all this dysfunction and all these things that's going around, is to put some seeds in the ground.
Thank you, God.
So when better days are coming, they've already germinated. And so then when the country comes out of the recession and the country starts heading to prosperity, you've already had seeds. And see, the process of God means if you plant it, it's got to give you something back. But what people get you stuck on is the losses. But the gains always outweighs the losses. So it's amazing that they will invest, but talk you out of investing. It's amazing that they will get assistance, but talk you out of assistance. It's amazing that they'll tell you, oh no, I only want you to do it. They're trying to cripple you because you need to duplicate you so somebody else can do it. So now I can make money on 6 different platforms because I've got 7 events going on at the same time. If Burger King and Hardee's and McDonald's and all of those places can be all over the city and have different locations and have things going on, people still going in there buying cheeseburgers. Then why can't I have my stuff going on in 7 different places? I need something going on in Charleston. I need something going on. But see, you don't go through the process. Am I making sense? And then sometimes we don't create patterns for other people to follow. See, if you create a pattern, you can create a pattern. I wish I could help y'all. I got to go now. See, if you can create a pattern, you can create a pattern. And if you create a pattern, now people will copy your pattern, but they got to pay you for your pattern. Another stream of income. And then some people will pay to use your name. Another stream of income. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And so you think they teach you is you. Oh, you. No. It's bigger than me. I'm not the hero. I'm just part of the growth. So then you see your brother prosper, you see your sister prosper, you see your neighbor prosper, you see people prosper, and all of a sudden now, as I close, what was a village becomes a nation. So we got to grow from the village to build a nation. Does that make sense? God bless you.